So just so you know, the official corporate line to explain your absence and the pause in recording has been that you did, in fact, get your hand caught in a cereal box.
It was an exceptionally small box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, the French toast variety, actually.
And I can only imagine your SO hedgehog walking in and out of the room with you just sitting there fucking in a rage for like a whole hour or days. Jay, all you have to do is take a smaller handful.
No. Oh, it's mine. You know how many kids are here? I can't give up any opportunity to feed myself. It's ridiculous.
Welcome back, homie. So first of all, I want to let all of our past guests and all of our future guests and our present guest. Oh, this is B2B Morning Zoo. I'm Nate.
I'm Jay.
One thing I love about our guests, dude, is that they're running real businesses, and mostly on the strength of the fact that they like us. They jump on this show with zero conception of what kind of leftist F-balls we're going to cram into the other segment.
Those poor bastards.
And actually, some of our future guests are very interesting people who do more capitalisms before 9 a.m. than you do all day. They're interesting folks. They're going to be on here, but it might be sandwiched with something like what you're about to hear now. I just want to say that what appears on these goofy bookend segments do not represent the views of our guests. Would that be fair, Jay?
Absolutely.
We talk about Kroger for a bit.
Yeah. Are you asking my permission? Talk about Kroger. For people who don't know, Kroger is a very large grocery chain that goes by many names in different regions. My region, they're called Fred Meyer.
Yep. They also have King Soopers. They're based in Cincinnati, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
This story was just my breaking point because there's one thing I cannot stand, especially among the creative class, the marketing class, the professional managerial class, how easily it is for us to all make each other feel good with a couple hashtags about heroes and then go back to whatever that we do in our bubble all day. And I'm tired of it. This storyline broke me. I can't hear another one. And Kroger, you're it. As you know, a couple separate instances, I think it was last spring, they got in a little kerfuffle because they started giving hazard pay to their people and then found that they'd overpaid some of them and sent them letters giving them options for how they wanted their future paychecks docked to pay back that extra $461 they accidentally sent them.
Oh my God. Was that over time? Like
when that got public, they retracted that. And I don't know, what's the average rent in America? $1,600, $1,800 a month? I don't know.
Yeah, too much.
So they backed off from that. And then I think for a while they were giving hero pay. And of course, once they deemed it no longer valuable, they took the hero pay away.
God.
And the local government in Long Beach, and I think also in Oakland, said, we're mandating hazard pay for these people.
Yeah.
Here's what it all boils down to. And you still see it. This is the end game. If you're a pragmatist, that is judging an idea based on its observable consequences, then this is the prove out for Milton Friedman and the Chicago School, whose stuff, which was, by the way, highly ideologically based and not science, but is still repeated like gospel, even among people who are going to be screwed if they don't have a paycheck in 30 days, he was a Nobel Prize winning economist from the Chicago School. And his famous column in the New York Times says business's only responsibility is to make a profit. And in that world, there become only two groups of people that matter. And that's, the C-suite and the board and the major shareholders. And employees can go pound sand. And eventually, of course, if you have like near oligopoly level market share, eventually you can tell the customers go pound sand too, because what are they going to do? And it all becomes shoveling. And so basically they took away their hero pay. Long Beach City Council said, no, we're mandating companies operating here give hazard pay. So they shut down the stores.
Oh my God.
They also, when there were murmuring of similar policies in Seattle, they shuttered 2 stores in Washington. And
like shut them down completely or just temporarily shut them down?
They said they're shuttering them for good because the locations were struggling. But, I bet who else is struggling? The people who used to earn a living there. And also, I would love to see, trying to be humble about the limits of what I actually know about this topic. How many people, like in the Long Beach store, within a 5-mile radius of there, where they're shopping now, especially the ones that might not have a car?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know anything about the demographics of these locations, but I can only assume that it's some kind of food desert now.
Yeah. And then of course this is standard anti-regulatory, anti-union practice. If they get even a whiff of this, they'll shut it down because they can afford the $2 or $3 an hour. They can afford it.
Mhm.
What they cannot afford is the idea that anybody should expect more, especially during COVID. You don't go out there with your Kroger cares and your hashtag heroes when the paycheck reads in clear language, you. And more or less, we're going to deprive people of a place to shop. Is this legally overreach by the local government? Maybe. But in an era where the corporate dictum for the S&P 500 is get the profit, and that's that, then somebody has to look out for the community. And Long Beach is saying, hey, we're gonna ride your ass, and they're gonna say, no, we're gonna take the toys and go home, which to me is honestly a good argument for nationalizing Kroger, but that's a separate one, isn't it? And you know what the tragic part is? This could be a huge PR win for them. If anybody in their PR Marcom division had an ounce of imagination, I would have the whole C-suite and the board of directors out there with duffel bags of crisp Benjamins, like, here's what we're giving up out of our compensation to take care of our people this year. I would go to Kroger more, and I bet you I'm not alone, but they're not going to do that. They're going to shut the damn stores down. And I was reading, there's a site called Brooksy that writes hagiographies of CEOs, and Rodney McMullen, I believe, is their CEO. Rodney McMullen was a shrewd, hardworking farm boy who came from a family of economic uncertainty. And one of the things in his profile really jumped out at me, because basically he was working at Kroger in like 1981 or whatever, doing every position in the store, and was trying to get an education and got his education funded. And he said in the thing, I only had to work 32 hours a week to get Kroger to help pay for his college. I'm going to bet $100. Again, another one. This is another reason where I'll be happy, delighted to be wrong. I bet you that benefit doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, God.
What these hardworking, bright, middle or lower middle class born people who climb the corporate ladder, the first thing you do is pull that damn ladder up.
32 hours a week at Kroger back in the 70s, maybe. You probably could have bought a house. You could have bought a house, 2 cars. That
paid for his college.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's different now. And I think a lot of, there's so many executives and these C-suite individuals that are so out of touch with reality and what it costs for the average American to just live now, and it's like, no matter how much we scream and how much we protest, it's always the shareholders first. How do we create more value for our top brass? And, maybe if he would have went out with a bag full of money and handed it out, maybe his bonus would only been 2 million rather than 3 million or something. I mean, come on. Where does it end?
Yeah. And on a larger note, and I would say this to anyone who's a leftist or is pro-capitalist, but if you care about a society that functions, I'm just wondering, how many times do you think they can just kick this hornet's nest and nothing's going to happen? Right. Anyway, that's another time. But, as for my part, I'm going to do my little part here today to stick up for the people who fed me during the panic, your drivers, your stalkers. There's my little keychain. That thing. I will find out a way to get more of the stuff I used to get through Kroger stores at Costco, which, by the way, is a massively profitable company that treats its people like people and pays them well. It can be done. And basically it's, and Jay, I think we should have a lot of fun with hashtags, but something's coming out of here, like hashtag Kroger pay the heroes. Hashtag McMullen eats hog. Pay your people. And if you ever do find the heart or ingenuity to pay for the people that you give lip service to and then on, then it better come out of your end, not figuring out a way to make your house brand grated cheese weigh 1.5 fewer ounces and pay for it. And you ain't passing the cost on to my neighbors. It comes out of your end because you've got plenty. Huge revenue gains during 2020 for Kroger.
Right. And nothing but indentured servitude for their employees.
Yep. That's all I got. Jay, meet Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Jay, pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Joe, let me just start with what I think your elevator pitch is.
You're making me feel like I should put my hair back, though.
No, or we can all just shave our shit off together.
Oh, man. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
No, it's all I got.
Well, Jay, doesn't our platinum sponsorship package include us going to your house? We'll just shave you.
Yeah, but with like rusty garden shears.
That sounds like the pewter package. I do have a real serious case of COVID hair here.
Everyone should display that proudly. I've had 2 haircuts since COVID started. Mostly just because I had to do like job interviews and stuff. I didn't want to look like a complete schlub. I got my hair done twice by my hairdresser. I trust her. It's my partner's hairdresser. I just go there. I don't know.
I did find someone who'll cut my hair, anybody's hair, I presume, or anyone in the area's hair on the porch. But I did buy a razoring kit, and my son is real eager to cut my hair. So I feel like
I bet he is.
it'd be a Samson and Delilah kind of situation if I paid the lady to cut my hair when he's off and do it for free.
You're taking your life in your I don't know, how old's your son? It depends, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, there you go. With the straight razor, right?
Oh,
yeah. No. He's mid-teens.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. His brain's still forming, but I'm sure he's trustworthy.
He can only chop my head off once. So
What?
at least I got that going for me.
It was funny when you said that, Jay. That's the absolute verbatim text of the last recommendation I got on LinkedIn.
What? Wait, what? Which one?
His brain's still forming, but I'm sure he's trustworthy.
Who endorsed you?
Which is a weird thing to hear in your 40s. I can't remember. Joe, thank you for joining us on this Sunday. I've been really looking forward to this. No kidding.
Problem. Hey, Super Bowl Sunday at that. We are we're all foregoing the game for this important conversation.
I legit did not know that. Today's the Super Bowl?
And now here's the next thing is name who's playing. Nobody seems to be able to do it.
It's
right, that one team.
It's the New Jersey roast beefs versus
just pick a city. Pick the cities they're from.
Versus the Austin chicken sandwich, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Smithfield somethings versus the Smithfield something others.
Nashville hot chicken.
Caesar is the Cedar Rapids parole officers versus. But Joe, let tell you what. Let's start things thusly. Let's see how good I am at elevator pitching you from memory. This is Joe Pezzillo, co-founder of Nami ML. Nami is a machine learning assisted platform that helps developers and makers of apps dial in on when and where they should be making their money asks of users. Is that about it?
That's great. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
And that was everything I know.
What am I doing here?
Telling us everything else.
You can go now, Joe.
All right. Well, thanks. Hey, it's been good hanging out with you while you practice your personal hygiene. But,
yeah. No, but that's really cool. So you guys utilize artificial intelligence to basically tell companies what to put behind, say, like a paywall or make a subscription service?
In essence, yeah, you've got like most of the words in most of the right order. It's really a platform. We like to think it's a comprehensive or, a complete platform for people that publish apps to be able to offer subscriptions easily and then manage the subscription life cycle of their subscribers. And so, yes, that includes a portion of it which uses machine learning to identify those user behaviors that are indicative of purchase intent. We also, of course, do all the plumbing. So you don't have to spend developer cycles writing the actual code that connects to the App Store, Google Play, and then the server side component of that for tracking when purchases are made and where people are at in that subscription life cycle. And we even offer paywalls, cloud-based paywalls, so that a non-developer, like a marketer or a product owner, can go into our web service, design the paywall, and then offer that into the app without having to do a code update or deploy through the store.
Wow.
There's of course some analytics so that you see how you're performing and so that we can show you how we're helping. That's kind of the gist of it.
Man, that's rad. And that's just like an SDK that they plug right into their app.
SDK that drops into the app, SDK for iOS, for Android, and then we have React Native, and we have a couple of other cross-platform kind of services coming. And then there is a cloud-based portion of it as well, which is where, for example, you log in to manage those paywalls. So if you wanted to create a Super Bowl Sunday special and launch it today, you'd log into our website, design the paywall there with whatever team you might be favoring. If you can remember the Smithfield dog catchers or whoever that was, drop in some graphics, change the copy, and then basically hit go, and it deploys the paywall into the app, which you can do just for today and change it again tomorrow.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. So there's both a little bit on the client side, a little bit on the server side.
You position yourself as a machine learning startup. And for those of us who couldn't get through Algebra 2 in high school, I don't know who would be able to do that. But in your world, what's the functional difference if people, say, oh, like AI? And like, no, it's machine learning because.
Well, first of all, you've kind of hit the nail on the proverbial shaven head, which is that it's a semantic difference in many cases, right? Artificial intelligence is much more of a sort of grandiose term that implies ultimately things like, a generalized computer-based intelligence, like you've seen in popular media, movies, books, et cetera, right? Where you talk to the computer can answer in natural language, and everything's as fluid as if you were interacting with another human being. Or, depends on how well they did in high school, I guess, in terms of what that interaction. Whereas machine learning implies a little bit more of what I'll describe as or call the nuts and bolts of it, right? So artificial intelligence is, again, a kind of lofty term that can refer to almost anything, whereas machine learning really gets into the brass tacks of, all right, you've got something that's trying to detect patterns. It uses this algorithm, and it's deployed in this way. So I'm being generic about it, but the point is that they're very similar overall. One tends to be more of what I'll call a romantic term, and the other tends to be a little bit more of a practical deployment in the trenches term.
Nice.
And I want to be clear, I'm not an expert on this. It's certainly been a long time interest of mine and area in which I've, in fact, I was just showing somebody the other day. I have been interested in this since it doesn't.
Oh, no.
There it is.
Yeah, there you go. This book, I think I looked it up, is from the 70s. So this idea of specifically artificial intelligence, artificial intelligence as a concept has been around for I guess, going on 50 years at this point, at least. Whereas I think machine learning is also a more contemporary term back to the idea of the actual implementation and practice or practitioners of particular types of artificial intelligence.
I read that book. It's got a foreword by Philip K. Dick, I think.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
No kidding.
I've not read that book.
Oh, I saw you got me, Jay.
Yeah.
No, I have not read that book.
But obviously the art has evolved tremendously in those 50 years. Back then, there was a lot more of kind of what I'll call expert systems. If you can go through kind of a flow chart of, all right, well, the patient shows up and they've got whatever, they're bald, then okay, well, that immediately puts them into one particular track for what you might diagnose their problem as being, versus just kind of what we've got today, where you might look at, for example, they're talking about how now you can use images of people's skin, and the computers in some cases are better at determining whether or not a particular image represents, say, melanoma, than an actual doctor might be.
Oh, wow.
Or you could cross-reference like probabilities too. It's like what happens, if we find bald plus antisocial behavior, and then that could be indicative of.
And here we find ourselves.
Tactical nuclear strike on your position. So the implications, I guess, that of artificial intelligence in the 70s are different than what it is now. So I think
remember the computers were also a lot less powerful back then as well.
Right.
So,
yeah. So Nate, I think what he's trying to tell us is that they're very, very close to creating Skynet. So you can control our camera. It knows Nate is bald. It knows he's antisocial. Terminators. They're going to come get us. Right?
But look how easy it was for some of us to be able to determine that in this conversation in a matter of moments. It takes a lot of training for the computer to get even, half the way there.
Oh, totally.
So they are getting a lot better every day. So I'm not saying don't be afraid. In fact, if anything, be more afraid. Big difference.
That actually tees up something that I wanted to bounce off you, because again, on the assumption of what companies do in the 20th century, which is you try to make a lot of money for as little cost as possible. People are costs. I really just don't in my gut buy the AI is going to create tons of cool new jobs. It's going to create lots of really cool new niche jobs. But for every one of those jobs, I think there's going to be whole call centers that are just neutron bombed. And I always sometimes wonder when I hear, arguments about universal basic income and stuff like that. are we going to get to the point where the ideology doesn't matter and it's just going to be a societal necessity?
Yeah, rewind just a little bit there. Which ideology? Oh, you're saying that whether or not UBI is a good idea, and here I am already using the acronym. So whether or not UBI is a good idea, or whether or not you agree that it's an appropriate tool versus a real necessity because millions of people.
I mean, pragmatically, might it just not matter? Because if I'm going from memory here. If anyone has read history books, correct me. I think Kaiser Wilhelm put the first big state welfare program on the ground. He did it not out of a love for the downtrodden. He did it because he saw socialism was getting popular. And he's like, a few extra full bellies, and I bet you this idea isn't as popular.
Well, that's not what he told me.
He's got to hear the Kaiser.
Share.
Now that you're getting into philosophy, obviously we can. How long do you guys have?
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's Sunday, dude. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, let's ask the question a slightly different way. How many jobs that are out there right now are being performed by people that are trying to find the right words, but crap jobs? Let's just say it.
In danger of being outsourced to robots? Is that what we're trying to say?
And I'm not, and there's obviously different angles on this. I think people derive a lot of satisfaction from work, right? But do you derive the same satisfaction from, for example, doing something that's more what I'll call a craftsman trade versus just warming a seat,
right?
Or is it better for people to be in high risk situations, even some kind of, especially now, with the concept of an essential worker in the time of COVID, right? I mean, the person that delivers food or food, I read something that said that line cook is one of the most dangerous jobs in the world right now. So, I mean, is it better to put people in harm's way to have burgers ready on demand, or should we, or should there be machines doing some of that? And I don't know that I have the answer, but I think this is the kind of question that goes with the question of universal basic income. Now, would the person that today is a line cook, would they choose to pursue a career or a avocation or a passion for cooking? Maybe, maybe they would, but maybe they, with the free time, would go find something entirely different to do.
Maybe. I feel like everybody, humans want to kill the mammoth. We always want a job to do. Otherwise, we kind of have that, feeling of, I don't know, that you're not accomplishing anything. I know when I was unemployed, I was just sitting around playing video games, and it was like, I really need to take down the mammoth. I need to do something. I wish I could find a job to do that in the future. Yeah. And if robots are flipping burgers for me, are we going to need that? Is that like a new ethical bar that we're going to have to raise? Like, yeah, being a line cook is super dangerous. That's why we gave it to the robots. So you better start writing code to, make more robots or something. It's super wild to think about.
Maybe, but we're also doing a thing here where we're conflating people's passions with their income, right? I think that's the other challenge that we've got, and that's part of our society. And I'm also not arguing that, this is back to your question of the philosophy of it. I'm not saying it is or isn't the right thing to do. We're in a society, in a situation, and in an economy where, we by and large, people trade their time for biosurvival coupons to be able to either literally survive or to pursue other interests, right? This is the famous quote, I think it was Jane Goodall, that said, I live to work, not work to live. Mm-hmm. I don't know that there's an easy answer, right? And you talk about, for example, playing video games. Now there's a whole industry around people playing video games. Totally. And I don't mean just the creation of video games. I mean the esports model, where now there are celebrity video game players who essentially make their living by playing video games. Right. I can tell you my teenage son probably aspires to that, right? He'd probably rather play the video games than have to, work on them.
Yeah, mine does.
Well, and then think about that. When you get into the computer industry, what portion of your work as a coder is the equivalent of the menial labor of, just grinding out the code, as opposed to doing something that's truly creative and artistic?
Well, and again, I feel like that bar is constantly being raised too. The menial labor is stuff that requires almost like PhDs or at least like some kind of advanced degree in like physics or something, to be able to create realistic representations of life, digitally. So totally, we're raising the bar, I think, all the time. And as we outsource more and more of the menial work to robots, maybe we get more advanced in the mammoths that we have to take down.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a great topic that I'm sure philosophers for eons have discussed, and it also is going to come back to, why do we judge people's worth by their income? Why do we judge? Why do people even have to? Why do we have this whole association in our society? What's wrong with simply existing? Right? What's wrong with simply being? And especially if now we can get a little religious about it, but if what we're experiencing is God's plan, then simple existence is God's plan. That in and of itself may be enough, right?
Yeah.
And then when you think about
enough for me,
there you go. Except for all that dang hair.
Oh,
although
what a hassle.
I think the operative word in yours great interchange is the word job. We're at the top of the food chain, for better or for worse, because we are an intensely cooperative species. And almost everybody wants to get up, and we're programmed to contribute and help each other out in some way. But like you said, Joe, that has been the definition of what a job is, has been formulated by the people who are hiring and want obedient employees, n'est-ce pas? So, and I found that ever since I've cut away a lot of the things I don't want, and I'm working on my own stuff, I'm working more hours and I feel light as a feather. So yeah, I guess it depends on the job. I also want to know, how come George Jetson went to work? I would have just sitting there, like no pants, like, Rosie, make me some Molly.
Why they still had paper money? I mean, come on.
Out of this dang job.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm trying to remember what exactly he did. I know he worked for Spacely Sprockets, so obviously they manufactured sprockets of some kind.
You never once saw a sprocket.
What was his actual job? Was he just a middle manager?
I think it's telling that it's not important for purposes of the show. The only point is that he shows up somewhere where he's subservient and gets yelled at. That's
daily.
That's the takeaway.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to also something on the back of my mind. Joe, you and your co-founder launched for a reason. Just in terms of sometimes learning what to do is as simple as learning the big 3-4 things not to do. Sure. When you launched your company, it's in terms of people who might be looking at a problem like the kind you could help with. I mean, where are people falling down over and over and over again with monetizing this stuff? And where does machine learning help that? Feel free to give anecdotes, data, whatever you have there.
Yeah. Well, we didn't actually lose the company. We know exactly where it is. We traded the company for some of those biosurvival coupons. So you can actually even still go. I just within the last month or so, I checked out the old URL, and you can find out where it goes. Push.io was the old company that we had built together. And I'll just let you go load that URL in your own sweet time to figure out what happened there. Now, what was the motivation? Twofold. When we did that, we had built this platform with the name Push.io. You can imagine a little bit about what it was. It was push notifications like you get on your phone. But our specialty was in doing content notifications. So, in fact, speaking of things like sports, we did a ton of sports scores, right? So people love their favorite teams, the Des Moines dog catchers or whoever they were, and you want to know how their
defensive line.
How are they doing in the playoffs or the finals? And so you follow your favorite teams. You get notifications when, among other things, for example, we help pioneer the idea of these close game alerts, where if the score is close enough within the final minutes of the game, you get a notification that's like, you should tune in because your team may or may not win. People love that stuff. People loved that stuff. Well, through the M&A process, our engine that we built for doing exactly that at television scale got turned into, by and large, a marketing tool. Which, I know some people love marketing, but, the whole idea of going from getting a sports score that you're eager to find out to getting a coupon for something that you otherwise might not have even cared about, let alone even with the coupon might not buy, it was a little deflating, to be honest. So we had some time, the luxury of some time, because we had something like universal basic income, but just sort of different. And so we got to take some time and think about, well, what did we want to do? And part of what we wanted to do was give back. And so we thought about who our audience or community was. Our audience or community were these people that built apps, both indie app publishers, but we'd also done a lot of work at the kind of the enterprise or high end of the market. So we went out looking for opportunities to help those people. And that's where, as I often say, you have to be buzzword compliant in the marketplace. We're not blockchain or crypto guys. So we went with one of the other buzzwords that resonated with us, and that was artificial intelligence and machine learning. And so we went and looked for ways that we could use machine learning to benefit these app publishers. Well, we started by thinking that, especially if you have, for example, an iPhone, I'm kind of waving it in there, the device itself now has just incredibly powerful machine learning capabilities built into the silicon in the device. That's, for example, how Face ID works. Face ID works. It learns your face and it gets better over time and so on and so forth. Maybe not with the mask, although obviously they're thinking about that. Point being that we saw that there was going to be an explosion of machine learning models or machine learning deployments out there on these billions of devices that are out there, or one might say a tsunami of these devices, and that's where we came up with the name for Nami.
Saw what you did there.
There you go. And so we went out and we started talking to the people that we knew, our customers, our previous customers, our people that in the industry and so on, and we talked about this crazy idea we had for how we were going to help them deploy these machine learning models. And kind of 2 in 1, they were like, that sounds really interesting. And we are definitely going to need that someday. But right now, I am being told I've got to grow our subscriber base. And so the light bulb went on for the second time, or the frying pan went upside the head, however you like to think of it, whichever your cartoon metaphor is that you prefer. And it was like, oh my gosh, you know what? We need to use this machine learning stuff to help people sell more subscriptions, because that's how they make their biosurvival coupons to feed their families and keep themselves busy day in and day out. So that's what we did. And we've got an incredible, so I'm not an expert on I'm certainly I'm interested, I'm a layman, and I'm fascinated by the topic going back for decades. But we do have a phenomenal CTO, Alejandro Contrero, who joined us. He's got a PhD in math. He had previously been the VP of data at the LA Times, doing exactly this kind of work of trying to help figure out when people are likely to subscribe, in that case, to the newspaper, or to help them as they transition from their print business to a more online business. We're lucky enough to have been able to recruit him to help us with this challenge. And so is that answering the question, or have I wandered astray from how we got here?
No, this is actually good background that I didn't know. That's a plus for me. But in terms of growing subscriptions, because I have to think that there's a lot of seemingly dreadful stuff going on out there. I see from the user end that must work, or else so many people wouldn't do it. But where like the pop-up comes in 2.28 seconds after you found the ad, you want to subscribe? It's like, I don't even know if your writers are good yet. God.
Well, this is a great point, because some products, content products in particular, require that subscription. Netflix, you get nothing, right? You might get a free trial, but basically, if you don't have a subscription, there's no free version or free tier or freemium component of Netflix. You're either in or you're out. Other products do have a freemium model where there's some content that you're able to access without having to subscribe. And of course, maybe it's, you get to listen to the first handful of a series, and then if you want to hear the rest of the series, or at least the finale, they're going to ding you to get the subscription then. Other products, when I say products, I'm largely referring to apps here. Maybe there are pro features in a camera app, for example. Maybe you get some basic capabilities in the free version, but if you want to add the fancy filters or other things, you have to upgrade to get that. So there's a variety of different ways that people do this, or why they would do this, reasons why people would do this. But yeah, we are with you all the way. And certainly, first of all, I want to set aside all of the scam apps. We have no, and we even say this in a couple of our online, documents and such. We want nothing to do with any of the scam apps that are trying to rip people off. That's a real, blight on the industry. But if you do have something that's worthwhile, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to build a sustainable business out of this. And if you're delivering the value that you're asking people to pay for, then why shouldn't we help make it easier to connect the buyer and the seller in that regard? we have, for example, in our platform, exactly that kind of business logic that you're talking about, where you can either force the paywall to show up on first run, or you can make it show up every third or fifth or 10th invocation of the app. You can do rate limiting so that if the person's already seen the paywall, 3 or 5 times this week, they're obviously not going to subscribe, so let's stop hassling them. And then this also comes back to what we're doing with the machine learning. One of the things that we haven't really gotten into, which is a lot more technical about this, I referred to Face ID and the fact that the silicon's on the device. So one of the things that we're really focused on is doing on-device machine learning. And what that means is that, in some of the current models, there's the cloud. Everybody's the cloud. So in a lot of machine learning, if you want to so machine learning comes back to essentially making predictions. I'll use this example. Is this person about to make a purchase or not? I'm trying to predict whether or not they're about to make a purchase. Well, in the cloud model, you'd have to send that question, that prediction, and the data associated with that up to a cloud service. The cloud will do its math and send back an answer, yes or no, or 51% yes, 49% no, et cetera, et cetera. So by doing it on the device, we get 2 key benefits. One is we avoid that round trip to the cloud. So we can do it in real time, basically. We know much more quickly. The Holiday Inn is shifting on you there. Are you in an earthquake zone? It's the walls.
I kind of feel like I fit right in, like, hey guys, let's party.
It's like the Enterprise.
On you there, yeah. But we avoid that round trip to the cloud, right? So we can do it much more quickly, right? We can actually kind of watch continuously, make our predictions, and it's also less costly in terms of you don't have to go over the network. You're not running, big servers in the cloud. It's all happening using, tailor-made chips essentially in the device to do that. But the second big benefit of that is privacy. So we've also designed our platform from day one to be about user privacy. We're very privacy centric. So that since we're not sending stuff up to the cloud, your data doesn't leave your device. So we may have to do some training in the cloud. We may still have to look at some of those behavior patterns, which we do our best. We collect no PII, we collect no log level or device level data. We're not doing the vacuuming that a bunch of the marketing tools do. We don't need that, as it turns out, to do what we're doing. But once we've got a trained model that lives on your device, and it's the device, it's all within the device where it's saying, is this person about to buy? Yes or no, yes or no, yes or no, yes, 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 yes. And then that's when we want to be able to say, all right, this user is clearly in the zone where they're ready to buy. Now's the time that we should go ahead and put up that paywall.
Very cool.
And it makes it a better user experience, just like you're saying. You don't want to be getting that paywall every 30 seconds, until you've subscribed or deleted the app. And so if we can get a lot closer to the moment where the user is likely to make the purchase, then in fact, it's a better user experience overall, right? If it's like, I've been using the app for a week, or I've done these things. I actually watched some of that content that is, the other people that have subscribed watch that content. Now's the time. So we think that it's a better user experience overall, and hopefully in the end, more successful for the publisher. They get more subscribers because they're not alienating people by constantly putting that paywall in their face.
Imagine that. A strange new future. Yeah, like I said, it's Sunday. The only other thing I had to do is shave my head. Now I just get to lay around and
there you go.
How bad.
Does the Zoom hook comes in and
we only got the basic package.
Do we have time for me to get a haircut still in this session?
Let's go. Yeah, get your son. Let's do it.
Here we go. He's busy with something else.
Okay.
Scares the heck out of me. So
gotcha. Well, Joe, we appreciate you stopping by here and sharing with us about the inner machinations of Nami XL. Or Nami
ML.
Sorry.
But hopefully we get to XL. We start with ML and hopefully
we'll get to XL. Nami XL. Yeah. Thanks, Joe.
Okay, Nate. Yeah. So just so people can look it up, it is nami.ml or namiml.com.
That's right.
If you're an app publisher and you're at all interested in in-app purchases, subscriptions, and creating a better user experience that's privacy centric, we would love to help you out. And you can look on our website. We've got a bunch of testimonials that people say it's super easy to integrate. We had one app that basically installed the SDK in the morning, and their app was shipping live on the store by that afternoon.
Awesome.
So we would love to be able to help people out with this.
Check them out, developers.
Yeah. What can we do for you?
That's
The hook is coming in.
Yeah, we're gonna die.
I know, I'm just sitting here waiting for the boom to drop. Like whatever I say is gonna be cut off mid-sentence. Thank you, Joe. We're gonna be hollering at you, and I hope that yes, people trying to grow their mobile user base will holler at you as well.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Nate. Really appreciate your time, and thanks for having me on your program.
Thank you. Welcome back to that piece of crap show you tried to bail on. Welcome back.
I can't quit you, Mr. Cotter.
As opposed to the show that Nate does rails on.
Oh,
the show still sucks since you left town. Ding, da, ding, da, na, 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 na. Who'd have thought we need you? Who'd have thought we see you? Something, something, diarrhea. Yeah, we tease Jay a lot because he got his hand caught in a cereal box. Welcome back.
oh, Mr. Warren,